Trading has closed on the 6th of October, 2022. We always start with our disclaimer, go over our calls, make some predictions. I'm going to say up front, I've been busy all day, had some unexpected personal business. I didn't have as much time as I normally do to analyze things, and anyone who wants to risk money on this should bear in mind I've spent less time than I usually do. I'll try to do my best, but just keep in mind that this is just my plan. My plan can be wrong, and if you make a trade, it's at your own risk. I can't guarantee I'm right about these things. Look for the pattern with the early low, which is this, and tomorrow should also have the early low. Yesterday was a strong up day. I thought it was weak, and even though futures were up, I looked for lower targets, 37.75.74 and 37.70.16 optionally. I thought they would print, which they did, and I said we'd probably go lower than that, which turned out to be one of my understatements. This is just a reminder of what we said. We also said we could pull back as far as 36.70 cash without doing damage to the bullish picture. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but if it happens, I think that's a reasonable support level. We went over the reasons yesterday. We have a new target generated from today's patterns, 3770.96. Ultimately, it should print. Ultimately means there's no time limit, but usually you don't have to wait long. It just doesn't tell you what happens in the meantime. This drop was called false by the system. It retraced. This rally was called false by the system. It retraced. This move higher was called false. This move down was called false, and that's already retraced. This is an ultimate buy signal in the afternoon. We haven't gone high enough to satisfy it, and that gives us a target. And we normally get more than that, even though we don't have to. It just doesn't say when. This is the DeMark counts. We had bar 13 of a combo buy signal. His rules say that the stop is loosely interpreted. It did break here, but you always need confirmation by going 1 cent under the close. That never happened, so based on that, this didn't really break. We have bar 13, which can finish early on the sequential buy signal too. Now, just because we got a number 13, which finished early, it doesn't preclude us from closing down some other day and getting another bar 13 without that qualification. It wouldn't be an invalidation of the buy signal, it would just be a confirmation. And any close tomorrow under 37.22.66 gives bar 13 of a DeMark sequential buy signal. Doesn't mean it'll happen, but if it happens, it's another buy signal based on his criteria. Here's where we are on the daily chart, and we're focusing in on what's happened in the last few days. This was the chart we showed yesterday. Let's count this as A, red A. We said if that's blue A and blue B, then blue C has a reasonable target around 36.70. You could see that's a Fibonacci target of the diamond. Here's your stilt, here's your stilt, here's your diamond. That's an inverted diamond on stilts. Here's a stilt, that's a clear diamond. The pattern doesn't have to complete here. It could go up, but if there's a stilt-like move down, the target's around 36.70. And if we are in blue C, and if that's A and that's B, if that's A and that's B, you have the same target. That doesn't, again, it doesn't mean you have to go down, But if we have a stilt-like move down, there was very strong support at that price, along with a significantly higher target that ultimately should print. This is normally a positive pattern. When it's negative instead, it should lead to lower prices. Of course, what counts isn't this close. If we gap either direction tomorrow and promptly take out today's high, all that negativity goes away, and that's not impossible, especially with a higher target. Otherwise, it's a negative pattern. We should trade lower regardless of how we close. The unemployment report comes out tomorrow. It can lead to wild moves. They're often very influential. I can't predict what will happen. Predicting what happens to news events isn't something technical analysis is good at. But if we get lucky, if we gap down, have a stilt-like move down, we have a strong support level at 36.70. Once again, I have personal business. I just didn't have much time, and I won't have much time tonight to analyze things. Signals are mixed. Here are the rules. Tomorrow's pattern has the early low. We could still gap up. It's positive we have a higher target. It doesn't have a time limit, but usually you don't have to wait long. It's bearish. Today's normally bullish pattern was negative. Unless we gap and promptly overtake today's high, we should see lower prices tomorrow. Doesn't mean we have to close lower. Commonest outcome tomorrow is a gap with a direction not specified. The monthly unemployment report comes out tomorrow. This frequently also leads to a gap. If we gap and go lower, there's strong support around 36.70 cash, as we showed in yesterday's video. No point in going over it again. You can always go on YouTube and look for it. If we gap and go over today's high, don't really have a clear plan for the rest of the day. So my fingers are crossed that we're going to have a stilt-like move down to 3670 cash, and if we do, I'm going to consider long. We gap up there instead. I still think we're going over 41, 4200. I just don't have a good plan for the rest of the day. Here's our target. Ultimately, it should print resistance over the target. Resistance doesn't have to hold. It's a pattern with the early low. The odds are a strong gap at the open, and that's a good plan if we move down, and not such a good plan for the rest of the day if we gap up. So we'll have to see what happens, and that's today's call.